Sue Smith sitting in for Aaron. Today, I'll be here with you for the next 3 weeks. I want to talk about a new tool that was launched by Meta last week that could be helpful to parents. Meta, of course, is the parent company behind some of the world's biggest social media platforms. So things like Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, basically most of the things your kids are using. So the new tool would alert parents when their kids talk about suicide or self-harm with the company's chat bot, which is called Meta AI. Sara Grimes is a professor at McGill University. She specializes in children's digital media culture and children's rights in the digital environment. And she joins us on the line. Good afternoon, Sara.
Good afternoon.
So what do you think about this new tool?
Yeah, it sounds good. Of course, we'll have to see what it actually looks like in practice. Yeah. There are a couple of limits, I think that are kind of implied in it from the get-go. But this is exactly the kind of thing that we have been clamoring for and that we want to see more of. And so, as long as it's done in a thoughtful and rights-respecting and privacy-protecting kind of a way, I think it's a really important move forward.
So what do you know about how it would work?
Yeah, I don't know too much.
Yeah.
I know that they're setting up a system, obviously linked to parental consent and kind of like, who's the parent that is, responsible for this person. And it sounds like what they're going to do is they're going to have a certain level of threshold. They said that they're going to err on the side of caution from the get-go, or at least at the outset, and then inform this identified parent if there's any of the flagged or problematic content, which actually kind of like sounds a little bit like what Bill C-34 is already kind of like implying and outlining when they're talking about a duty to act responsibly when it comes to tackling any kind of content that's an expression of potential self-harm. So I don't know that they got the idea themselves. I think that a lot of regulators are actually asking for this or similar to this type of things. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it actually plays out because it's Meta. And, we kind of never know with these big companies in general.
Well, I think it's super interesting that you bring up C-34 because, of course, Canada is not the only jurisdiction that is implementing sort of safer social media rules for children. Of course, Australia and Britain and a bunch of other places are looking into that. And I remember you and I talking, actually, and you were sort of saying that the carrot is better than the stick, like the fines that we're talking about won't really make these big companies change their minds, but perhaps it will incentivize them to do exactly this kind of thing. Do you think it works like that?
I think that like we were talking about Bill C-34 as including a lot of different elements. And I think that the strongest parts of that bill were always these specific, let's go after the company and make sure that they're doing due diligence and acting, with care towards all users, actually. We're talking about it in respect to younger users, but in terms of like where and how the big tech companies tackle this content, it's supposed to be for all of us. And I believe that was also mentioned in the CBC news reporting about this move this week, that it's not just going to be about protecting young people. There'll be, obviously, the parent link will be special for young people, but that there's going to be kind of a more sweeping approach. And this type of, it's really specific, and I don't think that Meta has specified exactly what they consider to be self-harm. That's going to be the devil in the details is going to be around that. Are they going to infringe on all of our privacy and young people's privacy in an excessive way in order to get to this? And how much are they going to be relying on AI, existing abilities to track that and flag it? Because, we know they haven't been doing a really good job so far, the major AI models. And so I really hope that they're bringing in like mental health professionals, especially mental health professionals who deal and work with youth, to really have a better understanding of what are the key words, like what does that look like in this context. But this is the kind of like type of regulation that's focused on actual, what's actually being said that's potentially a flag of or indication of risk that could be something that we can actually intervene, that is linked to, behaviors that are harmful, and especially for self-harm. I mean, wouldn't it be great if we could set up systems that we could protect ourselves and our kids in a better way, instead of just using this data to advertise to them or to keep them out of places, to actually use it, in this good way. So I guess
it kind of, I'm curious from your point of view, it does beg the question, and I know I've done, stories before about AI giving people terrible advice in terms of psychological therapy advice. So I guess it begs the question, how often do young people use Meta AI to talk about things like suicidal ideation or, those kinds of things?
Yeah, I mean, this kind of data is still emerging. When you look at big studies that have been conducted by the organization Common Sense Media, who are really at the cutting edge of this type of research, they're finding that it comes up. I think in the more general sense, the more general kind of mental health advice comes up, and it comes up in weird places where you might be just kind of talking about homework, and then you're feeling overwhelmed, and maybe throw that in as well to see what ChatGPT says about that. So I think it's kind of like a fluid type of situation where young people aren't necessarily looking and seeking out these mental health specific chatbots. They're using general purpose chatbots for a variety of purposes. Right. But then that means that, they're also using models that aren't really necessarily well trained and specifically trained on that.
Yeah. So, to get the little buzzwords and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
exactly. To your point about using professionals to create it. Well, I'm sure it won't be the last time that you and I talk about this, but anyway, it's an interesting start, and always appreciate your thoughts, Sarah. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Have a good day.
That's Sara Grimes. She's a professor at McGill, and she specializes in children's digital media culture and children's rights in the digital environment, talking about this new tool that Meta has launched for Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, which would alert parents if their teens talk about suicide or self-harm with the company's chatbot, Meta AI.
You've heard the chaos. Now you can see it. My God. Watch all your favorite podcasts from start to finish right inside the free iHeartRadio app.
Gets the blood going, huh?
Catch every laugh and eye roll on shows like the Tom Green Farmcast and Park the Bus, now with full video.
We're building a ramp for Tony Hawk.
It's the same hosts and the same chemistry with all the hilarious moments you've been missing right on your screen.
Cheers.
Open the free iHeartRadio app, search video podcasts, and tap watch.